out of nowhere, he says, we're going to go pick up my wife in a little while. She's flying in from Utah. So he says, by the way, how many wives do you have? And I said, I just have one. And he just laughs and he goes, well, I didn't know. I wonder, I know you're from BYU.
Fredette for the lead. Yes! Fredette with the three. Bullseye! What a shot by Fredette! The boy gave us more trays than he's got his J back, folks, and the eye of the tiger.
You're tuned in to Built from the Logo with Jimmer Fredette.
Fredette about it. I am Spencer Linton. He is forever number 32, Jimmer Fredette, and we are built from the logo. Great to have you with us for our deep range conversations about life inside and well beyond the world of sports. Jimmer, forget the Super Bowl for a moment. Your Super Saturday approaches with your jersey retirement. So how you feeling about it all?
I can't forget the Super Bowl. Like, I just can't. Like, that's first. First things first, Spence, right? Like, I'm going after the Super Bowl. I'm excited. It's one of the best eating days of the year. We're getting prepared. We're getting ready for that. And then after that, it's right on to the jersey ceremony. It is a big, big week. And I'm excited to get out to Provo on Thursday, be there through Sunday. Action-packed all weekend. Leading up to the jersey ceremony during the game against CU Buffs on Saturday, and just really, really pumped for it. Everyone's coming into town, and Fredette's gonna be all over the place for this weekend. This next weekend, I can't wait.
Your worlds are colliding. You live in Colorado. You're coming to Provo.
Right.
BYU was playing Colorado on Valentine's Day. Like, all of the things, Jim, are combining for excellence.
Ah, man. Yeah, Whitney's, still upset that it's on Valentine's Day. She's like, you just took over a full day. That could have been, something that we did for ourselves. Instead, it's all about you. And she's a little upset about that. But no, we're excited. We're happy. And we might get some Bam Bam barbecue, something like that for Valentine's Day afterwards. Something real nice. Can't wait.
Nothing like barbecue to ring in a Valentine's
Bam Bams,
night.
baby. Shout out to Cam, my guy. I love it.
Great stuff. If you're new to the podcast, first and foremost, welcome. Our purpose in this show is to build up our followers. The goal is to uplift, educate, and entertain with an array of topics, often centered on impactful moments, experiences, and decisions that have shaped our lives and the lives of our MVP guests. Andy Reid delivered an MVP interview last episode that included his approach to get back in the NFL playoff mix and in the title mix in Kansas City, and how in the ever-changing minds of today's pro athlete, he remains a consistent winner and players coach. He's incredible.
He's the man. I wish I would have played for Andy Reid. Football, basketball, it doesn't matter. He's a players coach. People love him. He goes to bat for his players. He's very, he just knows how to put plays together. He's an offensive mind, which I love, obviously, being an offensive guy myself. So I'd love to play for him. Awesome dude. I was a little bit surprised by the In-N-Out shout out for the best burger that he's had. I don't know if I'm fully on board with that quite at this point, Andy. But we had a great time nonetheless.
The guy loves his burgers, and he's about as simple as they come in that regard. So, yeah, it makes sense. But, again, I'm with you. I thought maybe there's a specific burger joint in KC. No, let's just roll it In-N-Out.
Let's go with In-N-Out. Give me a Five Guys at least. Goodness gracious.
Speaking of In-N-Out and quickly getting into things, we are ready for the opening tip-off. And here is our starting lineup today, including this question. Who should be the number one pick in the NBA draft? Jimmer gives us his totally unbiased opinion because it just so happens that one of those athletes that could go number one overall plays for Jimmer's alma mater at BYU. We're speaking of AJ DiBonsa. Also on topic, how college basketball is again leading out as the prime example of how to handle a postseason. Plus, our VIP guest is a two-time NBA champion as a player, and he's a champion as an NBA executive. Danny Ainge joins us to discuss which championship means more. And wait until you hear the unbelievable story that Danny led him eventually to playing for BYU, Jimmer. Apparently he almost died on his recruiting trip. Tell me your recruiting trip was not that volatile.
It was not. It was absolutely not that volatile. Had nothing to do with getting close to danger at all. I don't even know how you do that in Provo, Utah. It's just, it was not the same thing. But yeah, great stories nonetheless. We had a great time chatting with him. And, talks a little bit about his time with the Celtics and BYU, how much he loves it. Talks about being a bishop for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. A lot of topics. He takes you to a lot of fun places, great memories, and it was a lot of fun to be on with Danny.
Hey, we have a loaded edition of Open Gym featuring your top comments and questions as well from social media. Is success in college sports simply about spending more money? Interesting topic there that you brought up. Loaded episode, Jimmer. Let's get after it.
Let's do it.
All right. Don't forget the always critical grammar pet peeve of the week, brother. That
gosh.
too.
Can't wait for that one.
The pet peeve segment is quickly becoming Jimmer's pet peeve.
That's exactly right.
Let's take our shot with the early tray. 3 top-of-mind subjects to set the pace and get this loaded conversation rolling. Jimmer, are you ready to shoot?
Let's do it.
Okay, number 1. The Winter Olympics have arrived in beautiful Milan, Italy, playing host city. Jimmer, I know that you were a Summer Olympics guy, obviously, but with the Winter Olympics in play, what's the best Winter Olympics sport to watch and why?
Oh, gosh. I love the Olympics. I have always loved the Olympics. I'm going to tell you something real quick, though, first, before we get into this.
Okay.
I have not been able to watch the Olympics yet. And this is just real. I grew up loving the Olympics. I watched every second of it. And that's why I was so pumped when I got to the Olympics to be able to perform and play, and to have that happen and to get injured and really leave with a really difficult taste in my mouth just because I was not able to finish what I had started. It is honestly extremely hard for me to watch this Winter Olympics right now, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy, but that doesn't mean that I obviously don't love what Team USA and the competitors are out there doing at this point. And I've watched the Winter Olympics my whole life. My favorite event is speed skating. I absolutely love speed skating. It is so fast. I don't know how they do those hairpin turns. I love the amount of interchange there is and how they're maneuvering their way through each other while they're going 60 miles, however fast they're going. It's absolutely incredible. So that is my number one Winter Olympics sport to watch. Love that.
Short track speed skating, or do you like all speed skating in general?
I like all speed skating, but short track is my favorite because it is so intense the whole time. So intense.
It's super volatile. There are crashes, guys going through the cones. There's always controversy. I mean, even go back to the 2002 Olympics in Salt Lake when there was this huge rivalry formed between South Korea and Apollo Anton Ono and the United States short track team. That was wild.
It was wild. I loved every second of it. I watched all of it, every single thing. And it's the best sport out there. It's the best sport in the Winter Olympics, in my opinion.
I always look forward to watching Team USA play hockey, especially because now it has become the best professionals. It's not just an amateur situation where in Miracle back in 1980, it was the best collegiate stars and non-professional athletes against the Soviets' best professionals. That's what makes it incredible and Miracle. But I love that the best in the world are competing on the ice. So I always look forward to Team USA hockey. That's probably the destination viewing for me when it comes to the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, no, I love it. The hockey is super fun. The women's hockey, the men's hockey, all the above. Obviously, my wife would be very disappointed if I didn't throw in figure skating because she loves it so much.
It's incredible. Yeah.
It's incredible. I don't know how they're jumping that high with skates on and spinning 4 times in the air and then landing it perfectly and just being as graceful as possible. It is an unbelievable athletic feat to be able to do that, right? You think about that. I can't even skate. I literally get on the ice and I can't stop. I'm one of those guys that just runs into the, to the barrier, you know what I mean? To the boards. every single time. I can't actually stop. So it's incredible how they do that. So shout out to figure skating as well.
We all become experts on triple axles and the triple sow cow.
The quads. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
We think we're experts, but we're not. Holy
no.
cow. We just sit and watch the best in the world do it. Okay. Well, maybe you just answered it. Most underrated winter Olympic sport to watch. Is that figure skating for you?
Man, most underrated, most underrated in my opinion, I think is curling. I like watching curling. It's like a big shuffleboard, and I love shuffleboard. And it gets intense in there. Those people go after it. Listen, there's always the great ones. Like people love skiing, people love the snowboarding. They love those. I don't think those are overrated. I think those are properly rated. But when you're looking at it, it's like, okay, what are the underrated ones that people like to watch? I mean, curling, the biathlon. I think people like watching biathlon. That's something that is intriguing to me. It's one of those things where it's a long race, so it's hard to tune in for the whole time, but they do a good job breaking it up and all that stuff, and then being able to get your heart rate down so you can shoot. Those are underrated because people just don't know them and see them quite as often. So that's my opinion on that.
I've always enjoyed the bobsled. I'm not sure why it doesn't get more love. I know that there was a Disney movie named Cool Runnings that was made back in the early 90s. It's hilarious. And that created some energy. John Candy is the coach. But bobsled for me, I feel like that's an underrated sport. It's very exciting. It's very fun. You're counting the hundredths of seconds, and always it's like, oh, Team USA getting the mix this year. Yeah, I like bobsled. So that's a little bit underrated for me. What's the Winter Olympic sport that deserves the 2 a.m. window?
Oh gosh, the 2 a.m. window. Jeez, that is a great question right there. The 2 a.m. window, I would probably have to put, probably the cross-country skiing.
They're incredible athletes, but again,
they're incredible athletes.
It's not like visually exciting, right?
I know. It's not visually exciting. Amazing athletes. Someone has to do the 2 a.m. slot, right? And it is what it is, but you're going to watch it regardless. Like, it's hard. I'm not trying to bash on anyone. It's just a harder watch when you're out there. It doesn't mean that they are not incredible at what they do and probably some of the best trained and like in shape athletes of all time. They literally are, but that's what I'd probably have to say for that one.
Okay. you got cross-country skiing at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what I would put in the 2 a.m. window because they do such a good job of packaging everything now and making it, and the backstories. Like, if you have a great backstory for an athlete in cross-country skiing, like now all of a sudden, like you're invested.
You're locked in.
Oh man, okay.
You're locked in.
And they do an incredible job of telling those stories, just like they did with you in your own Olympic venture, Jimmer. So 2 a.m. window, like what's
the only other one I could think of is the one where they have they're going off the ramp for skiing and they're jumping as far as they possibly can, and their skis are like all the way up.
Just the ski jumping? Just straight up ski jumping?
Just the ski jumping. I could see that in the 2 a.m. slot too, because it's the same thing over and over again. Now, it's really cool to watch. I actually really love it, but also one of those that's not like super out in the limelight. So I could see like that possibly going in that 2 a.m. spot as well.
Like the early rounds qualifiers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
I could see curling sneaking into the 2 a.m. slot too, because it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Don't you do that, Spencer.
I'm not saying it's not mine. I think it's hilarious. It's fantastic. It's a fascinating sport. Fascinating sport. But I could see that maybe sneaking into a 2 a.m. window. Okay. All love for all Olympic athletes. You're all incredible.
Of course.
Okay. Who's your number one American Winter Olympian of all time?
You mentioned him before. Anton Apollo Ono.
Ono.
Love him. Just loved him. I was obsessed back in the day. Just watched everything. Was living and dying, sweating.
Oh yeah.
Watching him,
dude.
Because it was such a high intense, like I talked about. That was probably where my love of speed skating came from. Because it was, Salt Lake, it was there. Like the actual the rivalry, like you were talking about. I mean, just all of that was just
yes. Yeah.
It really locked me in, and he he was able to win and he was able to perform under that pressure. It was something that was fun to watch. So he is my number one Olympic athlete of all time.
So, fun story about that. I was serving my mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in South Korea when the Olympics were happening in Salt Lake City in 2002. And every Korean was angry at me for like a month straight. And I had no idea what was going on. Things
That's
were not how
hilarious.
they are today
Yeah,
for
you can't see
missionaries.
it. You couldn't see it.
So they're telling me like, oh, huge drama. America's cheating in short track speed skating. And oh no is oh no. And I'm like, what? So I learned about that from angry South Korean Olympic fans. Yeah. They're like,
I love
oh, okay. I see.
They were all over you, Spence.
I see what's going on. Yeah, so it got a little weird. There was some, there legitimately on college campuses, there was some picketing about how the Olympics are tarnished and like rigged. It was crazy.
That is awesome.
So that makes your story even better. That he's your
Yeah, it
guy
does.
now.
I love
He's your
that.
guy because he was public enemy number one for
Oh, yeah.
every South Korean.
Nothing better. Nothing
That's
better.
great. My favorite or my number one American Winter Olympian of all time. Gosh, this is brutal because there are so many unforgettable athletes, right? And like it's hard for me not to want to go to like a downhill skier like Peekaboo Street or I mean
Great name.
even Lindsey Vonn. But for me, growing up as a kid, I'm going to go to the world of figure skating, and it was Christy Yamaguchi. She was
Let's
on the
go.
Wheaties box.
She was.
The
absolutely
gold medal.
was.
She was just like the great American hope, and then she delivered.
Yep.
And I remember her as a young kid, like she was the first like wow Winter Olympic gold medal star on the Wheaties box. So shout out to Christy Yamaguchi.
That is an incredible pick. That pressure that they feel is, I mean, because I obviously I was in the Olympics, so I felt that pressure.
It's wild, bro.
But mine was different, right? We still had other teammates to lean on that we could.
Oh yeah.
And
Yes.
we also had multiple chances at game. This is like you are one and done.
Yeah.
And you are out there. Like you either perform or you don't. You either fall or you don't. And it's just on you. And that is it. So, I mean, that pressure is incredible. You build your whole life for that one moment. So, shout out to all those that participate in the Olympics. We love you. Team USA, let's go get it. I'll be tracking the golds and I'll be tracking the medals. I just might not be watching it live, unfortunately. It's so hard. Oh, gosh. But I'm excited to see how we do.
Bro, in all seriousness, I am sorry that this is a sore spot for you. And it's very real, and I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
It just, and I don't know how I mean, in the moment, it's also surreal, I'm sure. I remember texting with you while it was all going down, while you were in Paris at the Olympics, and, you know, hearts breaking for you all over the United States and certainly in your family. But you did a good job of just like doing what you could do. But you're right. Now you get back to the next Olympics and you never know how you're going to feel. And it's just like, naturally it's opening up an old wound. So I appreciate you going there because it's not easy to talk about.
Yeah, no, it's not easy. I just, it brings back emotions, you know, from that time and what happened and all the work you put into it. Obviously I was blessed and to be able to go and play and perform and did as much as I possibly could from the bench, yelling at my teammates, yelling at the refs, yelling at the other team, doing all that I possibly could, put the heart and soul into it. And I'm gearing up for 2028. Obviously, I'm still involved in the Olympics in a heavy way by picking the Olympic team, which we have talked about a lot on this podcast.
Yes.
So, but I'm gearing up for that. I guess this was just a little too soon. And then when 2028 rolls around, I'll be very excited again. So we'll get there. We'll get there, but it's how it works.
Well said by the man, Jimmer Fredette. Okay, let's go into your wheelhouse here for topic 2, Jimmer, because you are GM Jimmer when it comes to Team USA basketball. But let's go ahead and slide you into the shoes of an NBA general manager role and ask you the following loaded question. Who would you select number 1 overall in the 2026 NBA draft and why?
Yeah, there's 3 that are kind of at the top of the list, right? And then Caleb Wilson would, you know, as a 4th that people really like as well. But Cam Boozer, Darren Peterson, AJ DeBensa, right? Those are the three that have been thrown around. Generally speaking, most people would say AJ and Darren are kind of thinking about going 1 and 2.
Sure.
And I love Cam. Cam is one of those guys. He's going to be he's going to be like his dad, 15-year veteran. He could be an all-star. He could be a game changer. He could be a guy that's just he's going to be solid for his whole career. I think the other two just have a little bit more upside because of the sheer athleticism that they kind of bring to the game. And you know how it's like it's a wings game most of the time, right? Unless you're Jokic. Most of the time it's kind of, the wings have the ball in their hands, those bigger guards, the LeBrons, the KD types, the Paul Georges for a while. Like that's kind of, how it's gone with a lot of these players. And AJ and Darren have the ability to do that. Darren is more polished right now. Darren is going to go into the NBA and he could average 20 points in the NBA today. He's a great shooter. He can pass. He can handle the ball. He's good in the pick and roll. He's extremely savvy. And I was really impressed with how he came out and played against AJ and the BYU Cougars. He's like, I don't care. I'm in for the fight. And he went out there and scored 20 points in the first half. Incredible.
It seems easy for him.
It seems really easy for him. It's effortless, which is a sign of obviously a great scorer. I just can't get wrapped around how good AJ could be. That's the one thing with AJ, because his length, his athleticism, but also his mentality of just being able to do anything on the floor to win. He reminds me of kind of like a Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg's probably a little bit better offensively right now in the NBA. But AJ could be that type of player, and if you're that type of player, I mean, he's averaging 20 points a game right now. He's breaking records of all types of, from all types of rookie records. I would go AJ number 1. Ooh. I would go AJ number 1 because of the upside. Like
you think
his
the ceiling
length
is higher?
I think his ceiling is higher because of his length, his athleticism, his demeanor, the way that he works. And that's not saying that Darren isn't going to be able to do all those things, because Darren is going to be a high level NBA basketball player. It's splitting hairs here, but I would just go because of AJ's his length and his athleticism and his ability to be able to handle the ball. His shooting ability, it's going to get better. He's going to work on it. He's going to do all these things to get better. So I mean, I would go after that. The one thing about Darren is he hasn't played, and he's kind of like he hasn't played a whole lot. He's been playing and then he kind of sits down, and who knows what that's all about. Obviously his legs are not feeling great, with cramping and all these different things from an injury, but there's been guys that have done that and gone to the NBA like Kyrie Irving and just crush it, but I love the upside of AJ the most. That's why I would go with him number 1.
Okay. AJ number 1. You know that there are those out there that are going to say, oh, shocker, Jimmer going with the BYU guy.
100%.
But if you want the real explanation, go back and listen to the 3 minutes Jimmer just spent talking about ceiling, upside, and overall fit. It also depends on the fit of the team, does it not? Oh my gosh.
It does, but at a certain time, it's like, who do you think is the best player? That's that, and I think that's the biggest thing. I think Danny Ainge, who we talked to today, was a master at that. He was always like, who is the best player? I don't care who's on my team right now. Who is the best player? Because that player is going to fit in. And if they don't, then you have a incredible trade asset. Like, you're going to be able to do something. You take the best player available, whoever you think that is, and then you figure it out afterwards. And that's what I would do with AJ as far as that's concerned. Listen, I didn't put BYU in my top 5 jerseys of all time. I am not one of those guys that are completely biased. I am telling you my actual opinion from watching a lot of college basketball this year. And that is what my assessment has been. I can't get off of his length, athleticism, but also his will to win. If you go back and you watch AJ and all of the USA basketball stuff, it's him. He is the guy. Like, he is the guy that is helping his team win. He's leading those teams. He's always out there at crunch time. He's making big plays against the best competition in the world. He's been there. He's done it. And Darren has done the same thing. I'm not saying that he can't be the number 1 pick. He probably will be, but in my opinion, I think, I would go with AJ.
There you go. Jimmer Fredette. GM Jimmer on a new level right there. Okay, For the third topic, I'm calling an audible here. And here's
Let's
why.
go.
This was an oversight in my part.
I love it.
You brought up something that is absolutely relevant as it pertains to the Super Bowl, okay? And I know the Super Bowl has already happened, but you mentioned not the game itself, Jimmer. You talked about the food that is involved in the game and around the game and all the parties, okay? So, with that in mind, what is the one item you absolutely have to have food-wise in your Super Bowl party, or it doesn't qualify as a Super Bowl party?
7-layer bean dip. Straight up. 7-layer bean dip. When else are you eating 7-layer bean dip? No other time in the world are you doing that except for the Super Bowl. If you do not have that,
Okay, it's not a party?
it is not a Super Bowl party. Okay? We're going after the 7-layered bean dip. I love the nachos. I love the chicken wings. I love all the good stuff, but that is the number one for me because you don't eat it any other time.
That is hilarious.
Was that funny? I was prepared for that question, even though we had no idea this was coming. I am adamant about the 7-layer bean dip.
No hesitation.
None.
Zero hesitation.
I was ready for that.
Okay? And I don't disagree. Like, you have to have a good dip. Chips and dip. The 7-layer bean dip with your chips. Like that has to be it. All right. I'll add this. Jason Buck, former NFL defensive lineman and Outland Trophy winner in college football. He was asked a similar question on a cruise. And he answered shrimp.
That's right. I remember that. I was on that cruise and I heard him say shrimp, and everyone was like,
Huh?
Shrimp?
Shrimp.
It was during Family Feud. We had like the Family Feud segment, and you have to think quick, obviously, in Family Feud. Shout out to our team because we did win the Family Feud. I'm just gonna say that right now. Crushed it at the end, absolutely destroyed it in the fast, the fast round, whatever it was called.
The lightning round.
Lightning round. Sorry, shrimp. That was hilarious. Like, does anyone eat shrimp at the Super Bowl? I'm sure people do, but
listen,
at your house.
Jason's a Super Bowl champ. He's played in Super
it's
Bowls.
true.
Apparently, he
It's
wants
true.
shrimp.
Yeah, that's true. Hey,
He can be entitled to that opinion, even though it's the wrong opinion. It's okay.
Yeah, I get you.
7-layer
So
dip.
funny.
I would say most people would probably default to wings as well, like
of course.
wings of some sort, right?
Yeah.
You got to have wings and
people
chips and dip.
Yeah, and we will. We'll have wings. We'll have pizza. We'll have all the stuff. We'll have all the things. We will have the 7-layer bean dip. Simple as that.
That is so good. No hesitation, bro. Well done. Well done,
Thank you.
Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank
Okay,
you.
the early
Thank you.
tray and from the logo, no less. Let's take our first break. When we come back, Danny Ainge takes on the full court press, how he almost ended up playing college basketball somewhere else, and who's the best trash talker he ever played basketball with or against. All of that when From the Logo continues, presented by Built.
Like when Grandma was baking cookies, and she'd let you lick the batter. It feels like a fluffy hug. Cookie dough.
What the puff? This thing has 15 grams of protein.
Grandma loved protein.
So, this is your stop.
Fluffy, chocolatey, and packed with protein. What the puff? Built Puff.
Welcome back to From the Logo. It's time we roll out the full court press with today's VIP guest, who is a two-time NBA champion as a player, adding another championship as an NBA Executive of the Year for the Boston Celtics in 2008. He was an NBA All-Star, first-team NCAA All-American, Wooden Award winner in 1981. His retired number 22 jersey hangs in the rafters of the Marriott Center at Brigham Young University. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Danny Ainge. Danny, how are you today?
Spencer, Jimmer, good to be with you.
Let's go ahead and just start right with the prospect of Jimmer's number 32 hanging next to yours in the Marriott Center. How do you feel about Jimmer's jersey next to yours forever in BYU basketball history?
Oh my gosh, Jimmer is a legend. That would be a great honor for everybody in Utah and at BYU and their history. I remember the first time I went to scout Jimmer, I took my two boys, and Cooper and Crew, my two youngest boys, and they were won over like right the second that Jimmer played. It was electric environment. He did so much for BYU basketball and for basketball from Glen Falls. Like, has there been anybody else from Glens Falls that is played in the NBA? I think there was a guy I went to scout there a little bit after you, Jimmer, but I can't remember. I think he might have played in college.
Joe Girard.
Yeah. He played at Syracuse.
Yeah, he played at Syracuse, crushed it in high school. He's the either first or second all-time leading scorer in New York State history basketball, like amazing. And then went to Syracuse, Clemson, and now he's playing in overseas, having a good career. So,
right. Well, anyway, Jimmer is well deserved to be in the rafters in Utah, and it'd be an honor to be there and to watch that ceremony.
Well, it's incredible, Danny. I mean, obviously, you laid a foundation at BYU that was unlike any other. The Elite Eight run that you were able to make while at BYU, the scoring record, just your consistency throughout the 4 years that you played at BYU. And I haven't told a ton of people this, but I actually went for a workout to the Celtics when I was a junior, and Danny was the GM at the time, and I was kind of thinking about, hey, do I come out, do I not come out? And I remember talking to Danny afterwards, and he gave me some really great advice of what he thinks and kind of just the experience, and he kind of swayed me to go back to college for my senior year. He had an incredible time his senior year. I knew that we were going to have a great team, and boy, am I glad I did. It was that incredible season that year, and just the words of wisdom from you really helped me out as far as that's concerned. So I truly appreciate that. And, the other thing I have to ask is, like, with the jersey retirement, you've had that happen before. What do I need to expect? Like, what are the emotions like? What was it like for you on that day? Because I'm a little nervous about it. I'm excited, but also nervous.
Yeah, I don't know, Jimmer. You've been through way more. You can't get nervous about that. That's you've been in way, way higher pressure situations than a jersey retirement. That's like a ceremony. So, like, there's real problems in the world, Jimmer. We're not going to feel sorry for you being nervous at a jersey ceremony. But
that's
no,
for sure.
I think it's just fun. It's just like you get to see people, recognize. I mean, you already recognize how beloved you are at BYU, and so I'm not sure if there's a lot new to expect, but it'll be good for everybody else to get a chance to see you and get that jersey up there forever. That'll be great.
Danny, when you consider the all-time scoring list at BYU with Tyler Haws and Jimmer, and of course your name very high up on that list, do you ever feel gypped that you didn't get to shoot from a three-point line like Tyler and Jimmer?
I don't feel gypped. I love the game today. The 3-point line is just one small factor. I mean, I would say the biggest factor in scoring might be a shot clock. We played a handful of games every year that teams would just hold the ball, and the final scores were in the 40s, and I think one in the 30s and some in the 50s. So that was maybe the most difficult thing when you compare eras, but also the amount of games that are played. But the defense is better. And listen, I mean, scoring records are supposed to be broken. People were worried about me the other day when AJ broke, my scoring record as a freshman. Like, I had no idea the record. I'm only rooting for my BYU guys to do great and to have amazing success. But all those guys are fantastic players. And like, I never had a 49-point game or a 43-point game like Jimmer did, or a 70-point game in my pro career either.
Oh gosh. Yeah, you did a lot more than I did on the basketball court than just score, but that's big time. I mean, the thing is you sometimes you forget about all those records. Like, oh yeah, you had this record and it was broken. It's like, oh, okay, well that's obviously a great thing. They're meant to be broken. Players are getting better. It's faster, more pace. all those different things, but it doesn't take away the greatness. And don't even get me started on the shot clock, Danny. I mean, I'm helping coach a high school team in Colorado. We still don't have a shot clock. I know Utah just implemented it, but it's insane because they'll just hold the ball and it drives me nuts. So I can't even imagine playing in that, because I had a high school, in New York where we actually had a shot clock when I was in high school. So that is unbelievable stuff to hear. But I wanted to get to your pathway of how you ended up getting to BYU. And obviously you were a multi-sport athlete, incredible baseball player and basketball player. How did you end up getting to BYU, and why was it that basketball was something that you ended up ultimately, playing for longer in your career?
Well, I think that, I wasn't really planning on going to BYU. I had an older brother that had gone to BYU, played with Gifford Nielsen's team and Jay Chessman's team in the early 70s to mid 70s. And, he didn't love the experience, and he ended up leaving his sophomore year and going home to Oregon, playing Division III, and was an All-American in Division III. And, I don't know why. I really hadn't talked with him much about it, but I just felt like that wasn't my program. I wanted to go play in the Pac-8 at the time, and University of Oregon was a top 10 team. Oregon State was a top 10 team. Washington was a top 15 team. And those were the powerhouses with UCLA in our conference. And those were my dream schools, and that's where I was going. Well, I had a chance to go on some visits to some of those schools and some camps. And anyway, I had a visit from Marvin J. Ashton, the apostle, Elder Ashton. And he came to a state conference, and he sat me down, and I got a call like, Marvin J. Ashton wants to meet you. I'm like, what? What is this about? Holy cow. And by the way, like, I hadn't gotten a lot of attention from BYU. I was getting more attention from those schools I mentioned, and even North Carolina and Michigan and schools back east. But anyway, he said, I think you should go on a visit to BYU just to check. I'm not telling you where you need to go to school, but you should just go there on one of your visits and just see what it's about and see what you like. And anyway, a long story short, I did go on that visit, and it changed my life. I almost died on the visit on a snowmobile. Was driving a snowmobile and at Strawberry Reservoir in a race with some of the guys that were with me, and I went off of a cliff of about 8 or 10 foot drop and became unconscious and was bleeding out of my eye. And they carried me off, got some stitches in my eye, and I went to a baptism that night after I got stitched up, and I was, of course, I had a concussion. I was unconscious there, but in those days, it's no concussion. You just got a bloody eye. So anyway, but that baptism, transformed me too. We had a player named Mike May who was a senior at the team, and he was getting baptized. And anyway, those experiences and with those people, it changed me. And like, basketball didn't seem as important. Like I said, I wasn't as highly recruited. Matter of fact, I remember Frank Arnold, the head coach, in his visit with me, was like the only coach in my recruiting process that said, like, we got some really good upperclassmen. We got like 4 or 5 guards coming back, and, you're going to have to earn everything you get. And I kind of liked that. Everybody else is, going to build the program around you. I remember the University of Oregon coach, Dick Harder, who told me that he would show me films from Pennsylvania when he was coaching there, and that it would, they were known as the kamikaze kids in that era, and they averaged 50 points a game and were just like knockdown, drag out basketball. And I loved watching them play. But anyway, he would show me films of Penn where they were scoring 90 points a game. He said, if you come to BYU, we're going to score 90. We're going to run. But I couldn't really buy into that after watching them practice. So, I mean, I was paying ball with those guys every day, and I loved those guys. But anyway, BYU's experience, it was almost like basketball was less at that moment in time. And I was just going to play basketball and baseball at BYU, and I wanted that experience of being around those players that I had spent that time on the recruiting trip with me. Those players were Scott Runya and Greg Anderson. Were the two that had a really huge impact on me on that day.
Incredible story from Danny Ainge on From the Logo. So just to clarify, Frank Arnold wasn't the closer. It was Elder Marvin J. Ashton, an apostle for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We owe him for being the major recruiter of you to BYU.
Absolutely. And like a guy that helped change and shape my life. He also married my wife and I in the temple a few years later. And I had a good relationship with him, and he was a mentor for me throughout my time at BYU.
Well, also, I'm just glad you survived the snowmobiling accident, because that's crazy too.
Seriously. Yeah.
It's like a trip for the ages. Danny Ainge is with us on From the Logo. Danny, when you look back at your BYU career, and correct me if I'm wrong, I recall you at one point telling me that while the 81 team is the most remembered because of that incredible run to the Elite Eight, you felt like the 80 squad was even better, and you were upset in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Is that the case?
Yeah, I mean, we were every bit as good. And we had Devin Durant on our team before he went on his mission that year in 1980, and we were stacked.
Yeah.
And we had so many NBA players and so many good, really, really good players. And we were ahead by, I don't know what it was, 15 to 20 points in that game, and ended up losing that game. That was a devastating loss, one of the toughest losses I ever remembered. But we lost to Clemson, I think, and Larry Nance's team. Yeah, we were better. It wasn't really that close, in my opinion. And I don't know why we didn't win that game, but tough loss.
Now, as you moved, obviously, after BYU, you ended up getting drafted by the Celtics, right? 31st overall in the 1981 draft. And also you were drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays as well, the 15th round in 1977, so a few years back. But you ended up playing both professional basketball and professional baseball. Like, how do you do that? Like, for real, like, that is unbelievably incredible. There's a handful of people that have played two professional sports. How did you even find time to practice and master your craft for both sports to be able to do that? I'm genuinely curious about this.
Well, I mean, it was my life, football, baseball, basketball. And, in Oregon, you grow up, and when baseball games get rained out, I found myself at track meets. So it was just a different era, but I loved it. In those days, we had stake track meets, and so those were a blast too on Saturdays. But I feel like the basketball was probably in my blood more. When I was coming out of high school, I had the Major League Baseball scouts coming to my high school, taking me out on the baseball field, timing me from first base and timing me, seeing my arm strength and like all those things. And so the San Diego Padres were trying to sign me before the draft. And that's how baseball does it. They like, can we get you under contract and secure you? And what will it take? And so I was negotiating a contract with the San Diego Padres when I was a senior in high school. And, we just they didn't blow me away to take me to give up basketball and give up college opportunity. And so everybody in baseball knows that, they couldn't get you signed, and the Padres were going to draft me in the first round that year. And so I go into the draft. I get drafted in the 15th round. I receive all my letters from the Toronto Blue Jays about, show up at rookie ball, show up at, all these. I just ripped them up and threw them in the trash because I was going to college. So that summer I was playing in an American Legion tournament in Seattle, maybe in a tri-state area of Washington. and I was playing in a big time American Legion tournament. It was like the really good players there. And the Toronto Blue Jays were in attendance, the general manager and the hitting coach. The hitting coach was a legendary player by the name of Bobby Dorr. And the general manager was a guy by the name of Pat Gillick, who was a legendary GM in his career. But those guys were watching me play in this doubleheader. And at the end of the game, they pulled me aside and say, hey, we want you to play. We'll play 1 year of AAA in Syracuse, New York. And we'll give you this much money, which was more money than San Diego was offering me to be a first-round pick. And we won't interfere with college basketball. We'll let you play college basketball in the off season, and we want you to come with the Blue Jays. And so that was amazing. So that doubleheader kind of changed the direction. So I went to baseball. I eventually did sign with the Blue Jays, and then basketball was and so after playing 4 years in baseball. Through a couple of lockouts in baseball, collective bargaining, I spent half my time in the majors and half my time in AAA, and loved it. I mean, I loved baseball. I learned more in baseball in the first 2 months of professional than I had learned my whole life, though, and that's the difference. In basketball, it was never that way. Basketball, I felt like I knew as much as my coaches when I was in college because I had such a legend high school coach. And I had 2 older brothers and a father that were basketball players that had raised me. But I learned tricks of the trade, Jimmer. You can understand the little things you learn from playing against Magic and playing against Jordan, playing against players like that. I learned those types of things. But I didn't really learn how to execute, how to screen, how to defend, I learned those at a very young age. So anyway, when it came time to choose basketball or baseball, baseball was way more of a popular sport. And in my mind, I was a huge baseball fan. So I wasn't in love with the NBA in that era, but I was in love with the Celtics and the Lakers. And so because I had some clout at that time, I wasn't drafted where I normally would have been drafted. In the NBA in 1981 because I still had a year left on my baseball contract. And so I slipped to 31. The Celtics tell me they're going to draft me in the late first round, which I'm not sure that I make it there, but I think I might because I've told everybody else, I'm going to stay with my contract. I'm going to play baseball this year for another year. And then my contract was done. So I had the option of being drafted, not liking the situation, and going back into the draft the next year. And so that's why, and I met with every team in the NBA during that stretch about what my plans were. And so anyway, the Celtics had told me, Red Auerbach had told me, so I'm playing a game against the White Sox and the Blue Jays, and I'm in Chicago at a hotel, and I go sneak in the back of this draft area, and I'm no one sees me, and I'm just listening to pay attention. After the first round, I leave, and I'm just going back to baseball. And anyway, the second round, Celtics drafted me and called me. And so now I that piqued my interest. If I wasn't drafted by the Celtics or Lakers at that moment in time, I don't think I would have ever considered giving up my baseball career for the NBA. And so the Celtics, got me, and we worked out a deal. And again, it was good to negotiate a position of strength in those situations. And so and then the rest is just basketball.
Wow. Danny Ainge bringing it on From the Logo. We hear a lot about the crossover between football and baseball with Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders, but not a ton of basketball-baseball crossover. Michael Jordan tried it. And it was really difficult. You did it. So what's the key to making that happen? Okay, Danny, because it is so difficult to make the crossover from baseball to basketball and the other way.
Well, when I was in high school, I was a good football player, and I was probably more heavily recruited in football than any sport. And uh, I probably wasn't as good a quarterback as Jimmer was, but I was. Oh, you were a receiver too, I think.
Receiver.
I played wide receiver too, and safety. And so anyway, I was playing, and I wanted to do that too. I thought I was going to go play football and baseball just because it's the best fit to play two sports, and I only had to give up one sport. But then basketball season started, and I went on a couple football recruiting trips and saw like these guys are huge, and I was like 6'4" and weighed about $165. And I'm going like, okay, I'm going baseball and basketball.
Yeah, there you go. You're like, I'm good.
But then I got to BYU, and I was watching Gifford Nielsen and the Jim McMahon, and like the they were before their time at the passing game, and I'm like going, oh my gosh, like I could go catch 15 passes a game in this. Like this is unbelievable. So I became a huge BYU fan, watching Gifford and Mark Wilson and Jim McMahon and Steve Young and all the guys from my era was and past Ty Detmer and Robbie Bosco, like all of them. It's been so fun watching BYU football over this last, I'm not even going to say how many years, but lots of years.
Yeah.
It was a Camelot era for BYU athletics. I mean, obviously you're leading your team to the Elite Eight. BYU football is winning the Miracle Bowl with Jim McMahon and winning the Holiday Bowl in 81 as well, 3 years prior to their national championship. Men's golf's winning a championship. What was life like as an athlete at BYU in the early 80s, Danny?
It was so fun. Yeah, I became good friends with Bobby Clampett, and that was fun. He lived in a condo complex down the road, and Keith Clearwater. Those guys were fun. The football players I hung out with a lot. I mean, I was just a big fan. I remember going to meet Gifford in the hospital. He didn't really know much about who I was, except he played basketball with my brother, but he's a Heisman candidate, and he tears his ACL about 6 or 7 games into the season. And I went to visit him at the hospital. And so we've had kind of a bond ever since that time. And I'm grateful for him. He's an amazing human, and a good example of how we should all be. But I was very close with all those guys in sports and followed them. I mean, I'll never forget. We're playing in December, I think it was, and the Holiday Bowl, the Miracle Bowl. We're playing in the holiday tournament, but our entire team before the game is watching the Holiday Bowl, and we're going crazy. Like that was unbelievable memory. And we went out and beat a really good Illinois team that was ranked. And anyway, that was something I'll never forget. I don't remember the details of all the games. I remember it was at Tennessee, but yeah, I remember the Holiday Bowl details. So that was unreal. So yeah, I've been a big BYU. I moved back to Utah to live in Provo, not Salt Lake, or actually live in Orem. And, so I could go to BYU sports. I love BYU sports, and it's fun. Even when I would need a break from my time in Boston all those years, I felt like, I always flipped on a channel and watched a volleyball game, or a BYU TV has been good. Why can't we get more sports on BYU TV?
All these contracts.
Big 12 came into play and it ruined everything, Danny.
I know. All these ESPN, Big 12 contracts, man. I know. We need to see Spencer and Jerem's face on BYU TV more. But yeah, it is absolutely, like, the 80s were an incredible time. Right now is an incredible time for BYU sports as well. It's awesome to see they're going through it. Every sport is just really good right now. It's amazing to be a BYU fan. And at this time, Danny, I want to talk a little bit about your time with the Celtics. Obviously that's fascinating for me, being a basketball fan, and you playing with Larry Bird and being coached by Red Auerbach, and just I want to know what that experience was like. What was Larry Bird really like? What was the team dynamic like? And why were you guys so good for so long?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm not that old, Jimmer, that I played for Red Auerbach, but he did draft me.
Oh, no. He drafted you. Okay, there you go.
No, that's fine, Jimmer. I would never expect you to know that. but I got to tell you a funny story about Red Auerbach is I have agreed to do a deal with the Celtics. So we're negotiating. There's a lawsuit going on with baseball contract in New York City. So that gets all resolved, and the Celtics buy out my contract with the Blue Jays. So now I got to negotiate a contract with them, and I'm in Boston, and he picks me up at the airport. There's a limo that's like, I don't know, it could feel like 15 people in it, like it was really weird. And he's sitting at one end of the limo, and I don't think he had a cigar in his mouth on that day, but I'm sitting at the other end, and we're talking about basketball and the future of the Celtics and so many details. And out of nowhere, he says, we're going to go pick up my wife in a little while. She's flying in from Utah. So he says, by the way, how many wives do you have? And I said, I just have one. And he just laughs, and he goes, well, I didn't know. I wonder, I know you're from BYU and all this. And we had a long talk about that. It was so fun. And so, but it just blew me away. It was so funny. But that's my favorite Red Auerbach story, but I got a lot of them. But
Oh, sure.
yeah, I forgot your question, man.
That's a great story. Just so you know, I've been asked that question so many times too in the NBA.
That's why he had that big limo.
Yeah. Because he had him for all the wives, just in case. Oh, that is funny. I've been asked that question a ton of times. But the question was like, how was that experience with the Celtics? Like, what made you guys so great for so long? Being with Larry Bird and the Robert team that you guys had was incredible. Like, what made that so sustainable for so long, and how was that dynamic on that team?
Well, I think it's pretty simple. We had Larry Bird and Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish and Dennis Johnson and Bill Walton, who are like first ballot Hall of Famers. And then we had players like Cedric Maxwell, who was really good. He wasn't like Larry or Kevin, but he would start on pretty much every team in the NBA. And it was just like a really talented team. And when you have, as you know, Jimmer, like when you have better players than their role, like it's good. Like McHale could have been a number one, but he gets to play with Bird, who's the greatest passer, a guy that takes so much attention. He became like unguardable in the low post. And Robert Parrish was a great shot blocker, rebounder, passer. And Walton was a, basketball genius on the court. His passing was like, every bit as good as Bird's, as from a 7-1 center. And so like, I don't know, it was just a great culture and but like we had great players. Like we didn't even play our best games and won most nights. And I think in 1986, we were 50-1 at home that year.
It's crazy.
And
crazy.
Anyway, those were like special times, but it's special players. It's not complicated formula. You get really good players and you win. I was very fortunate to play with players that didn't, like I didn't have to be the leading scorer on the team, or we probably wouldn't have won very many games. But I got to be another player with great players and had a long career just by being surrounded by good players.
Danny, as you look back on a very successful, long professional career that has spanned both successes as a player and as an executive, what do you feel like the hardest lesson you've learned is as a professional, and how has that shaped you?
I don't know. As a player, I know that it was, I played 14 years in the NBA. I feel like I had the role I wanted in maybe 3 or 4 of those. And you just have to like make your way. Like you got to earn a spot. You got to go play and do what you can do to get on the court. And you got to be able to figure out what that is. And so many players today, they want the coaches to figure out how they can help. And there's part of that. The coaches do need to like use the talents of the players and how they can help. But it's up to the players to like find a way to get on the court and do, the players are very smart. All the players I've been around, very smart people. But that's one big lesson I've learned. Another lesson I've learned is, winning championship as an executive and as a player winning it as a player is very fun. You have this camaraderie, these lifelong relationships with the people you played with. But winning it as an executive is even more fun because you can see bigger. You can see how many people were involved in this process. It's not just 12 players and 6 coaches. It's like everybody in the organization that made that championship possible. And you know their stories. You know their life stories from every player, every coach, every executive, PR department. I mean, it's weight strength coaches. And I mean, it's just, it's a more fun experience to win it as an executive because of all the people that you have bonded with and you know their impact to make it happen.
Incredible insights there. It's one of those things now. I'm a mini GM, I would call it. Spencer calls me GM Jimmer for the 3x3 basketball program.
I've read your stuff. You could be a very good GM.
Let's go. Let's go.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But
I don't know how well you know. I don't know how well you know the salary cap, Mark.
No, I don't. The second apron is killing me. The second apron is absolutely killing me right now. But it is
3-on-3 basketball. You don't have a salary cap, or do you have a budget?
I wish we had a salary cap. I wish I had those problems where I could actually do that. But it is interesting though, from that perspective of like, hey, there's so many people involved, and it's awesome to be a part of it on that side. Obviously, now the big goal is the 2028 Olympics, but being on there as a player and having that disappointment and now going to the 2028 Olympics on the other side, I'm excited to be able to experience that the way that you have it as well, which is awesome. While you were a GM though, for the Celtics, you were also a bishop for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You had your full-time dad. How did you balance your work, life, faith schedule during that time? Because I'm in the bishopric now. I know that what the bishopric does and how much the bishop has on his plate, as well as running an organization and being a father. Like, how did you balance all of those things during that time period?
Again, I would say it was the people I was surrounded with. I mean, I got stories from so many people that helped me through that time on the Celtics side and on the bishop side, and Relief Society presidents that were amazing, young women's leaders, and that took so much off my plate. At that time, they made me bishop, and I'm not sure why, but they made me bishop, and then they brought in 80 young adults into our normal, kind of our standard ward. We had like 240 people in our ward that were in attendance most weeks. And then we brought 80 young adults that didn't have a home because MIT and Harvard were like not their culture, not their place. And so they had drifted. But anyway, those kids came into our ward, and that was the highlight of my experience. Was I probably spent 60-70% of my time with them. I even got an additional bishopric counselor over them.
Oh, wow.
So I had 3 counselors, and but being a bishop is tough. Like you just need to have the right people around you, and you can't try to do it all yourself. I gave myself like Wednesday nights and pretty much all day Sundays. I would be at the church all day Sunday doing so much of the work, and often I had people come up to me and saying, "Hey, the Celtics are down 10, or the Celtics are like." I had no idea. I wasn't paying any attention to it that moment in time. And like, I didn't really want to hear, because it would have been more fun to like go home and maybe watch the game late at night. But it was really a great experience. I wish everybody could have that experience of serving as a bishop and just seeing, again, it's kind of like I've said about an executive, like seeing all the service that so many people provide that you never know about unless you're sitting in that bishop's seat, watching or being at sacrament meeting and knowing the stories behind the people that are messaging. I remember one time I had a young woman speak, and her story was great. I won't go into the whole story, but she was speaking in sacrament meeting, and I was so emotional and just like felt the spirit so strong in that meeting. And someone came up to me at the end and said, Bishop, why would you let somebody talk about their experiences and finding their faith when our young women's message, our young adult, or our children's message at the set time, the youth, was stand in holy places? And she had some stories that wasn't always, and I go, I mean, it was just like, I just hugged him and walked away. I could not believe, but I thought, well, my perspective is so different because of the knowledge I have about that person. It was the greatest talk I had heard, and here was a person that couldn't receive it in the right way. And so, but that's a lesson that a great experience that you learn when you know the stories, when you really know the people. That experience is so much better. Just like, running an organization of any kind, but as a bishop in the church, it's a great experience. Like I said, I wish everybody could do it.
Danny Ainge is on From the Logo, and what's that, Danny?
You're next as a bishop.
Okay.
Yep. Jimmer's coming close.
Well, for what it's worth, I just got called to be a stake high counselor, so we'll see where that takes us.
There you go.
Start.
There you go.
Good
Gonna
experience.
be speaking a lot. Yep.
I'll see that. We'll see where that takes us. Danny, I thought for a moment maybe you're going to be retired once you finish with the Celtics, but then now you're doing the thing with the Utah Jazz again as the CEO, and obviously people want you involved because you've been so successful. But what's life like as the CEO of the Utah Jazz in the latter part of your professional executive career?
I'm really enjoying it, and but maybe the highlight of my experience with the Jazz so far is Ryan hiring Austin. That was amazing. And he's doing a great job. He's working. So I feel like when I first came aboard, I didn't really want to go back to work when I left Boston. I told you, I moved down to Provo. I wanted to go to BYU sporting events and, find something else. And I had some ideas of what I might do. But Ryan kind of got me in there, and then it was a lot. There was a stretch where it was a lot. And anyway, when he hired Austin, I was like so excited, and it's been good. So my role really is, I talk everything over with Austin, and I meet with Ryan quite a bit. And I mean, I talk to him every day, but I'm saying it's the three of us, and Will Hardy right now, just a young coach. And it feels like, I'm a mentor to all of them, and my experience can help and see things in a different light than what they may not be seeing. And that's my biggest role.
And I know Austin super well. Obviously, he's at BYU right before I got there, recruiting trips, and have stayed in touch with him. He actually came out to China several times because of Gershan Yubasele, who is on the Shanghai Sharks with me, and he would come out there and speak. And he is a extreme competitor, kind of like his father, and also someone who knows the game of basketball. And, I was so happy for him when he was able to get that position, and it's well deserved. And, for you and for him, you've been known to make some incredible trades. Everyone knows the Celtics trades that you've been able to make and been able to put them in a great position, obviously, as you moved off of the Celtics. But what you guys just did with pulling off Jaren Jackson trade as well, without giving up Lauri Markkanen, is another incredible trade, in my opinion. How did that go about, and how did trades go about in general? How many times do you have to be on a phone with them on a back and forth basis until something happens?
Yeah. So I'm not supposed to talk about the trade until it's all finalized, meaning the physicals, et cetera.
Okay.
But I'll share this about your question. Trades. I remember when we traded for KG, and some people said, well, you didn't, why did you get KG 2 years earlier? Because we went through a year like the Jazz are going through the last few years, but I was fortunate twice to just make the KG and Ray Allen trade, and, get Jalen and Jason in a time of rebuild really fast. And they became as 19 and 20-year-olds were in the Eastern Conference Finals. And so those are just, you're just very fortunate to get players of that caliber. So I think that the trade process is you talk, like my wife comes on, well, what did you do? What did you do today? And I go, I talked a lot, but got nothing done. And I why? Because, you're hopeful, you're spending a lot of time doing it, but like sometimes it's just out of your control. And you asked me earlier, like what I've learned, but one thing I have learned is patience. Like I want to do deals with impatient people. I don't want to be that impatient person that just is so desperate to make a deal. And I think collectively we did a good job. Austin did a very good job of getting this deal with Memphis, and hopefully it'll turn out as good as we hope. But it's like he talks. There's a lot of conversation that goes back and forth, lots of conversation, and you never know when. I mean, everybody's posturing, everybody's negotiating, and there's 15 other teams that want our guy, and they're offering way more than you. So probably won't hear from me again. And so you just have to be able to like know what you're willing to do and negotiate a good deal. And I think it's a good deal for us, and I'm excited about it.
Sometimes I feel just like that. I said a lot. I talked a lot on TV, but I'm not sure I really accomplished anything today. So I'm glad that you can relate in some small way there. We're going to close out with some rapid fire questions. And again, thank you for your time. We've really enjoyed this. Some incredible stories. But when you think about all of the places that you have played a game in or coached or been an executive in, what's the greatest venue you have ever been involved in where a game was being played?
I mean, Boston Garden was, a really special place, and it was a treat. But Madison Square Garden for me was really fun. It was just so electric, and they always had pretty good teams in our era, and like I loved playing there. But those are my two favorite. I remember playing in Madrid, Spain one time against Drazen Petrovic.
The assassin.
We had but I mean, that was kind of fun. That was like a whole new experience. And so, but yeah, Boston and Madison Square Garden are my two favorites.
Two of the best arenas right there. I love Madison Square Garden. And those European fans are different. Playing in Europe for a year with Panathinaikos, like those environments are incredible. Couple more rapid fires here. We're trying
to get the Jazz there.
Are you? That'll be really cool.
Yeah, we're gonna get the Jazz there. It's a great culture in Utah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jimmer, I have scouted in Panathinaikos. Those places are crazy.
Oh, it's wild.
Those environments are insane. They got like dugouts over the players.
I came into shoot around when we were going to play Olympiacos, our big rival. And, you normally walk into a basketball arena for a shoot around. There's, it's just very open space. I walk into this shoot around. They have 2 nets around the whole court, like these massive nets that go all the way to the ceiling, 2 nets. And then they have the dugouts, like you said, that are over the actual, benches. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, why do we have this for this specific game? Because it's not been like this at all. They're like, well, they like a couple years back, the Panathinaikos fans were on one side, the Olympiacos fans were on the other side, and they were shooting flares over the court from one side to the other. So we had to put these nets up so that they wouldn't do it. And I'm like, what am I walking into? I thought I was here to play a basketball game, but it is absolute life and death situation sometimes in Europe, which is it's pretty fun to play in front of. It's pretty cool experience. But yeah, they love their basketball over there. So yeah, I suggest definitely getting over there for a game.
Well, when I went to scout Gallinari, so I was on this European trip. And I had seen these experiences you're talking, like, doesn't surprise me at all. I wasn't at a game where they were shooting the cross, but there was a lot of crazy going on. There's a fire built in the stands on one of the ends of the court. But I'm going to Naples, and everyone's telling me, don't go to Naples. Don't go to Naples. It's like, you want to go to Naples on a different trip. But it was the last day of a trip. I fly into Naples. I get off the plane. The airport's not too far away from the arena. I go to the arena and all the tables are like on the ground, thrown over, and there's nobody at the ticket window. And so I just like jump the fence and I walk into the arena and it is packed. Like there's not a seat anywhere in the building. Like my ticket wasn't, I don't know who took my ticket, but anyway, I go in the seat and I'm standing in standing room through an aisle, and Gallinari gets hit and he goes to the ground, and it's the whole place is just going crazy and chanting against him. And I didn't know what it was. And so like I said, the guy, what are they saying there? He goes, he must die. He must die, was the chant going on in Naples, Italy. And it was like, anyway, yeah, well, this is fun.
Normal. That's a normal day in European sports. Normal day. That is unbelievable. Man. Last two questions for you. One question I was curious about: who was the best trash talker, or the biggest trash talker that you played against when you were in the NBA?
I mean, I think the best trash talkers I played with, I don't really remember that many guys trash talking against us. But, I mean, like I had two of them on my team, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, ML Carr, like those guys were trash talking. And, you know, the thing I liked about Larry and Kevin was they would trash talk a coach. Like Hubie Brown, legendary coach, would be on the sideline. He would trash talk him. And Mike Fratello was a really good coach in Atlanta. And McHale would refer to him as, you know, sit down tattoo, you know, from the Fantasy Island movie. And it was like the benches would laugh and die. And I mean, I'd be dying laughing at some of the things that they would say. But, you know, like, how can you put that guy on me? Don't you, like, he can't guard me. Isn't there anybody else on your team that can guard me? Like, I just loved that kind of trash talking. That just showed their confidence was, you know, through the roof. It was fun to be around.
Hilarious. All right.
That's so funny.
Just out of sheer morbid curiosity, Danny, I know you've beaten Michael Jordan several times on the golf course, and your teams have beaten his teams, especially in the mid and latter 80s. But did you give him any baseball career advice when he tried to make that transition?
No, I did not. I'm not one to give anybody any baseball advice, but Michael was so gifted. Like, I mean, he could have easily been a baseball player if he would have taken my route and like came out of played out of high school and not had like a 15-year gap of when he last touched a baseball bat. But yeah, Michael was very gifted. I think a lot of people could play multiple sports if they have opportunities to do it, and he's one of them for sure. He could play anything he wants.
I love that. And I'm guessing you're a proponent of kids being involved in as many sports as possible still to this day.
Yeah, I think that, and maybe the biggest reason is not just from my own personal experience, but like as an executive, we do so many physical examinations of young 19-year-old, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids coming into the NBA. And we find often that there's injuries that have happened. And a lot of people are speculating now that that's because they focus on one sport, that they're not playing other sports and getting stronger in their hands and in their overall bodies. And so using the same muscles over and over, playing 4 AAU games in a day, there's some consequences for that. And so, I would encourage everybody to play multiple sports, especially in your early youth, 15 and under, especially. See, Jimmer's like healthy because wide receiver, like we need more wide receivers in the NBA.
Well, according to Dave Rose, Jimmer was catching the ball and immediately running out of bounds to avoid contact. That's from Coach Rose.
No. I was running into the end zone. I didn't get touched because I was scoring every play. That's great. We appreciate the time, Danny. Thank you so much. This has been absolutely incredible. Thanks for the insights, for the your time, and everyone will be enjoying this episode, and we'll be watching the rest of the year with the Jazz and the Cougs and everybody involved. So,
well, I enjoy all that you guys do, Spencer. It's fun watching you a lot. You do a fantastic job. Jimmer, congratulations on getting in the rafters. That's amazing and exciting for everybody in BYU Nation, maybe even more than you. But I really appreciate all that you did for BYU.
Thank you.
Danny, you're the best. Thanks so much again for the time and for those incredible stories and insights. And like Jimmer said, we wish you the best. We're rooting for you and Austin and your family to continually find success. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, let's call timeout. When we return, Jimmer and I take on your listener questions and comments. And Open Gym from the Logo continues in partnership with Built.
This is Phil Miller.
From the Logo rolls on in partnership with Built, and we now open up things to our listeners and viewers with your submitted questions and comments straight from social media to us. Jimmer, I am fully caffeinated. Frankly,
Me too.
need a little nourishment as well, so I'm going to go with my jam banana cream pie.
There you go.
And you, while I eat this, can start us off, my friend.
Let's go. All right. Our first comment comes in from Hit Fit Chick-fil-A, which is an incredible, or High Fit Chick-fil-A. Sorry, not Hit Fit. High Fit Chick-fil-A. Amazing name. Okay, this is one that's funny. I'm so glad BYU isn't on here talking about my list of top 5 jerseys that I did. Okay, I donated my son's BYU jersey years ago because he outgrew it, and he hasn't forgiven me since. Now I can tell him even Jimmer didn't like the jersey. LOL. Come on, High Fit Chick-fil-A. You can't just do that. Oh my, you can't just get rid of the jersey like that. I mean, your boy is out here, you know, I don't know if it was a prized possession from him. Obviously, he really liked it, which thank you so much. I appreciate you being a fan, and we'll have to meet at some point this day. But my goodness, I mean, the jersey, it wasn't in my top 5. It doesn't mean I didn't like it. Doesn't mean it wasn't iconic. Can't just throw someone's jersey away like that. Oh my goodness gracious!
Do
What do
you
think,
realize
Spence?
what you've done? You just gave this father justification for getting rid of your jersey.
My goodness gracious!
By not putting BYU in the top 5, he's like, see, vindicated.
You know,
My son's mad at me, totally vindicated.
I hope whoever got it really cherishes that jersey. That's what I hope. That's what I'm here for. Oh my goodness. Thanks.
Was it autographed? I don't know if it was autographed.
Yeah, we need to know if it was autographed, then man, I'm just worth nothing now. And that's just a slap in the face. That's great. I love hearing that comment. I hope it went
my
someone
Jimmer
great.
Fredette jersey from the Deseret, from DI, Deseret Industries for the win.
Dark days, Spencer. Dark days over here.
That's very funny. That's
boy.
very funny. Your jersey's still for sale at the BYU store and several other places. Also, like, it's hilarious. You type in Jimmer Fredette jersey. You know, there are so many, like, taboo websites you can buy Jimmer Fredette jerseys from. It's amazing.
Oh, I know. Believe me, I know. Temu, Tencent, all the Chinese ones. Oh gosh, yeah, they're everywhere. Yep, they're everywhere. It's great to see. A lot of them bootleg, but they're still cool. I understand.
Come on, folks. Support Jimmer. Support Jimmer.
Thanks,
Get the real thing.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, next entry comes from Adam Coffrin at BYU LASF Jazz, who chimes in on X and says, and by the way, we're calling this our Built question of the episode. It's solid from Adam. It says, I'm curious what Jimmer's pregame rituals were and if there were things that the players shouldn't or should do before games, eating, going to the bathroom, sleeping, etc. Like, what was your routine?
Yeah.
What is a good practice, good habits compared to those that maybe aren't?
Well, it's I mean, I can say for myself, right? Like, it's hard to say
Okay.
what everyone else is because everyone has different rituals. Everyone has different routines. Everyone has different things that they eat before. Some things you would think are terribly unhealthy to eat before the games, but guys don't care. And
Okay.
if it works, it works. I mean, these guys are in the best shape in the world. Like, if you eat chicken fingers before the game, you're still going to be able to perform, you know, and I wouldn't recommend it, but People do it all the time, and they're
The
totally
Serbians,
fine.
right? The Serbians just
Doesn't
eat whatever.
matter. Serbians will smoke a cigarette before they go play 3-on-3, and then all of a sudden they'll just go crush you, and you're just like, how did that happen? My goodness gracious. But for me, the night before the game, every single time in college, I would go for about an hour walk, headphones in, hood up, and I just visualize the game. I'd visualize what I would do, visualize the plays, visualize how I would score, defensively, all the different things that the team were going to do. So I did that every night before a game. That was important to me. It was good for visualization. My mom is huge on visualization. So I did that every single time. And then I wasn't a big ritual guy as far as food was concerned. I always showered an hour before I left for the game, and then I would go into the Marriott Center, and I would never take the elevator. I always went down the stairs in the Marriott Center. So I'd go in the entrance, and I'd walk around, and I'd walk around it, and I just go down the stairs. Don't know why, I just started doing it, and stuck ever since. So I did that my whole career. And then usually other than that, I had the same playlist that I would listen to before games, get myself pumped up and ready to go. That's about it for me. Like, I wasn't a huge ritual guy, but it was, simple, and made sure I do those 3 or 4 things that made me feel good. And then I'd be off and ready to go.
What's on that playlist, Jimmer? And do you still have access to said playlist?
I do. I have access to the playlist. I used to come into the arena every single time with T.I. and Rihanna, Live Your Life. That was,
Really?
yep. That was the one that I walked down the stairs to every time. So that was number one. That I always had on, like Till I Collapse, Eminem, Lose Yourself, those types of songs. I liked What You Know About That, T.I. Mostly
T.I.'s your
rap
guy.
stuff. Mostly rap stuff back in the day. That's what I listened to. I've broken off and have a lot more taste in music, I guess you could say now, with the genres. As I got older, I started to listen to a bunch of different stuff, but back in like high school, college, I was pretty much strictly rap. And
You've expanded your library.
Yeah, that's Whitney. Whitney's helped me span the library. And that was the playlist, and I was ready to go. I'll tell you what, I was locked in. You could tell I was locked in.
I do like, again, you're not a superstitious person.
No.
A little stitious, as our friend Michael
Just a
Scott
little
would say.
stitches. Yes.
But you did play the same song in the proper order
Yes.
whenever you walked into the arena.
I did. So I had a little superstition, like I said, not a ton, 3 or 4 things that I do every time before games, but it wasn't like a full daily regimen nightly where I was like eating the exact same thing at the exact same time, those types of things. I was just kind of eating what sounded good for what I had access to in college. Like, there's not a whole, in college, sometimes you're just fighting for your life with food, try to figure out what to get, because they didn't have training table back then, Spence, right? They didn't have where you could just eat whatever you want, whenever you want. Like, I had to find my own food, so that was always a struggle. But other than that, it was great.
No doubt about it. All right. Fantastic stuff from Adam at BYU LASF Jazz with our built question of the episode. Okay, next one, Jimmer, and I'm going to yield to you here to present the third option in our open gym segment.
All right, here we go. This one is from at Cedar Breaks 2010 on YouTube. He referenced this to the BYU basketball and their success, saying they're doing a great job. Does that equal they have money, right? They're saying because they have money, that's why they're doing a good job, or there are other reasons?
We all know that money is an integral part of the current state of collegiate athletics and getting, or at least being in the running to get elite level players to your program. Nobody is saying that money isn't a significant factor, but it's not the factor. Like, how many times do we have to point at teams that have spent ridiculous amounts of money and it hasn't worked out? Okay, so when you do have a program that spends money and it works out, then it's the easy cop out. Like, oh yeah, well, it's just, yeah, boosters open up their wallets. The only reason they're good. You're not giving enough credit to coaching and the culture that is set up by the staff and the coaching.
Yep.
Now, again, not saying money isn't important, but they are doing a great job. Equals they have money. It is not nearly that simple. Else, you would see several NBA teams who are breaking the bank every year, or any professional sports team that has opted to break the bank and pay the fines and the salary cap, and then it doesn't work out. Like, why aren't they just like automatically the best? Okay, there are so many factors that go into this, and I feel like even more so at the collegiate level of getting younger players to buy into a program, a culture, and be all in. Yes, you have to be competitive with NIL. That is one of the 4 pillars, if you will, but coaching, culture, talent, NIL, like all of those things matter. Like you have to have the 4 pillars. Yeah. And for me, the money is just one of those things. It's not as simple as just spending more money equals more wins. If that were I wish that were the case. It's not the case. You got to go and find the right coach first and foremost, I believe.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. I mean, the money does get you in the game, like you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Like that is a prerequisite now to be able to find the top level talent players, right? Now, that doesn't mean that you can't find diamonds in the rough and have great teams that are not paid very well, right? Like you're going to have teams that are still mid-majors that are really, really good. Like you look at like a Miami of Ohio right now, who's lost 1 game, I think, this year, and have played incredible. And they're going to be someone to be a force to be reckoned with. They don't have a huge payroll, but they found some really good diamonds in the rough. Now, in BYU's case, obviously, to be in the running for AJ, they did have to have money, right? So that's always a thing. But
they weren't the highest bidder. They weren't the highest bidder, and he told us on this podcast that was the case.
He did. But if we were like way out of the ballpark, we wouldn't have gotten him, right? So it's like you definitely have to have money. There's no mistaking that. Like you said, you have to have those 4 pillars. I agree with that. But, Arizona, Houston, these teams don't have the biggest budgets either. They're 1 in 3 in the country right now. Like, they don't have the biggest NIL budgets. And it's one of those things where you have to have the right coach. You have to recruit the right players that actually buy into the system, that say, hey, yes, I'm getting paid really nicely. Great. But it doesn't matter. Like, when I get on the floor, I want to win ball games. Like, and I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to do that. If you don't find the right players to do that, if you find guys that are just coming in for the money specifically, you're not going to have that camaraderie. These guys aren't going to play as well together. You're going to see that, and it'll translate onto the court as not winning basketball games. So you have to have the culture, and that's what the coaching staff brings. That's what Coach Young brings and his coaching staff. He brought a pro system with pro coaches. He said, come to Provo. This is where we want you to be, and we are going to win a lot of basketball games doing it this way, and you're going to buy into what this system is. So it's definitely a collective effort. You have to have all of the above. But that doesn't mean that, obviously money can get you into the game, but what you do with that money is the most important thing, and who you're recruiting is the most important thing to make sure that you're playing at the highest level. So.
And let me clarify on the 4 pillars. I said talent. It's talent fit. And this is from Spencer's ideology of competing at the highest level of college athletics. So they're my 4 pillars of sorts. But it is NIL, money matters, coaching, culture, and then talent fit. Like you have to have talent, obviously, but the talent has to fit. Yep. It's got to be the right guys in your program, especially at a program like BYU. And the quote, to pull back the curtain, they are doing a great job, came from Andy Reid, the coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. He was talking about BYU basketball. They're doing a great job. Again, they have money. Yeah, there's support and money there, but you have to hit all 4 pillars. And can we be frank here, Jimmer? Because as we record this, BYU's lost 4 straight games.
Yeah, they have.
So the rhetoric has been, look at all the money they've spent, and they're not winning games. They're not beating Arizona. They're not beating Houston. What did they spend the money for? Isn't it so fickle? Okay, it's so fickle because 2 weeks ago it was like, well, they're winning because they have money. Yeah. And now it's like, they're spending all this money and they're not winning. Like,
yeah, that's what you get from fans. That's you get.
That's why it's not just about money. You need more stuff.
You gotta be able to have the right people in place, the right system in place. All of the things. It's still college basketball. They're still young kids. You got to get them to buy in. You got to get them to play hard. Doesn't matter if they're making money or not. They have to go somewhere to play college ball. You got to recruit the right players. You got to have the right system. And BYU's done a great job of that. You lose 4 straight. It's a Big 12. Sometimes that happens. You got to keep going. And by the end of the season, you got to be playing your best basketball. So everyone goes through it. It's how it works. And great question though. I love it. I love the we got nice and heated on it. That means it was a good question.
Come on. Absolutely. That's what the emotion means you struck a nerve, and that's why we're talking about it. I'm all for it. Okay, finally, shout out to Slam Magazine, Jimmer, with a nice feature on you, man. And they just followed our podcast channels as well. So how does it feel to be recognized by such a great basketball publication?
Yeah, it's a great publication, right? It's iconic. People love the Slam magazines. Seeing yourself on a cover of one, those types of things, seeing your face on a Slam shirt that they have at the BYU bookstores this week, leading up to the actual jersey retirement. Just really cool honor. As a basketball fan, you love being on Slam magazine, right? Like, that's a really cool thing. So shout out to Slam. Appreciate the love, and excited about the week.
Now, while the emotions are still somewhat on the surface here after some heated conversation earlier in this segment, it's time for your grammar pet peeve of the week. Let's do this. All right?
We got to jump into this now.
Yes, we do. And it
You're gonna get so mad.
It actually fits into what we were just talking about. BYU has lost 4 straight games when we record this segment. Just talking about, like, it's not all about the money, okay? Today's pet peeve in the grammar world is lose versus loose. Lose has 1 O. Loose has 2 O's. One means to lose a game, a setback, a fall, a fail. The other is not tight, okay? Loose with 2 O's means the cord was loose, okay? The execution of the game was loose. You can't lose to a team in basketball. So this happens all the time. Oh, Spencer, how in the world did they lose to that team? Get it off my timeline. Get it off my timeline. Makes me sick. Like, just spell the word lose. Lose 1 O.
So
Lose 2 O's.
people are spelling it with 2 O's. I think you've seen that a lot.
How do you lose a game? You can't lose a game.
I got to be honest. I haven't seen that one a whole lot, Spence. Really? But you must be getting that one a lot. If you're seeing it on your timeline, that's tough, because when you're looking at it and you have LOOSE, you must be like, that's not right when you see it. You know what I mean? Most of the time. So I'm with you. If people are getting that one wrong, I am absolutely with you on that. Loose and loose. I mean, it's 2 completely separate words.
Oh man,
Completely.
I can't believe we're losing to this terrible team.
Is that an accent thing though? Is it an accent thing? Like,
no, it's just,
man,
it's just.
It's like
Did BYU lose? Did BYU lose? What?
Oh
What?
gosh.
No. Guess what? I sent you a mug with some interesting language on it that explains all this. And lose and loose are included on that mug. Okay.
That's a bigger one than I even know. See, like I said, I don't. This is your segment. I'm just asking questions. Okay.
I would say that if you say, "Man, I can't believe we are losing," that your grammar is way too loose. Okay, that's the proper use. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your grammar pet peeve of the week.
I don't have
Good?
anything else to say.
You good?
I don't
You
have
good?
anything else to say. No.
Come on now.
Nothing else to say.
If you would like
Great
to
job.
submit more grammar pet peeves or questions or comments to me and Jimmer for the next episode, pretty simple. Follow us at JimmerFTL on YouTube, Instagram, X, and TikTok. We're tightening the ship here, folks. Nothing loose about it. Up next, the 3x3 update when From the Logo with Jimmer Fredette continues, teamed up with Built.
It's like you're diving into brownie bliss with chocolatey, gooey lava that erupts in a world of flavor. And it has 17 grams of protein. What the puff? Hit me. Oh!
Fluffy, chocolatey, and packed with protein. What the puff? Built Puff.
From the Logo never loses as we move into the final quarter with our USA Basketball 3x3 update presented by Wilner and O'Reilly. Just call Kelly at Wilner and O'Reilly, an immigration law expert and close friend of the show. WilnerO'Reilly.com. All right, GM Jimmer. He's got the latest on the drive to gold in 2028, featuring his 3x3 teams across the globe, plus a weekly insight into the game. Jimmer, what is your 3x3 update going to entail today?
First of all, shout out to Kelly at Wilner and O'Reilly. He is awesome. The man, we're always texting about basketball, sports, whatever's coming up. He's very, very knowledgeable about the game of basketball / football. Like, he loves it. So shout out to Kelly. He's awesome. And right now I'm going to take it to the Champions Cup. Okay. So what this is, I'm going to talk a little bit about how this works. The Champions Cup, it has recently been introduced into 3x3 basketball. As of last year was the first year. It is an international competition before the actual FIBA World Tour season starts. So it's going to happen in March. I'm in the midst of picking that team right now for Team USA. It is a championship for all of the Zone Cup winners.
Okay.
Across the world, and then the 2 highest ranked teams outside of those Zone Cup championships. So it is the best of the best, and there's only 8 teams that are invited. Okay, so it's a very short, small tournament, very exclusive. We are in it because we won our zone. Okay, so there's different zones. Our zone is North and South America. That is one zone. We played in the AmeriCup, which we've talked about. We won that, so because of it, we get an automatic bid to the Champions Cup. There is a zone in Africa. There is a zone in Europe. There is a zone in Asia. The host country gets one, which is it's going to be in Bangkok, Thailand this year. So we are going to Bangkok in March. So they'll be in it. And then the 2 other top seeds, I'm not 100% sure. It'll probably be Netherlands and Lithuania, where the teams last year. I'm not 100% sure who it is this year. This year, the Zone Cup winners are Lithuania. Actually won the European Cup this year, so they're in it. Serbia will be in it. We are in it. Australia won in Asia, so they're in it. Thailand is in it. Madagascar won in Africa, so they're in it. And there'll be 1 or 2 other teams. They don't have those fully out yet. So it's really cool. It's a very, very fun event. But those Zone Cups are really important. Like when we play in the AmeriCup and the European Cups and all these different things, it gets you into the Champions Cup, which is a big deal. Can get you Masters bids into the season, which is a really important thing. But also those Zone Cups get you an automatic bid into the World Cup, which is going to be in Poland this year. So it's interesting how it works. All these Zone Cups, all these different tournaments. There's international competitions. There's the World Tour competitions, which are completely separate, but they intermingle. So that's why we have to get into all of these different events and playing them. But I'm in the midst, like I said, of making that World Cup team or that Champions Cup team now. So to be continued. I will definitely let you know as soon as that is finalized here on this podcast.
Let's go.
But I'm excited about some of the guys that we're talking about right now. And, it's a really fun event. So I'm excited to get to Thailand in March. But that's the segment today. It's more about Zone Cups and how kind of things work as far as that's concerned.
Let's go. USA in the Champions Cup. GM Jimmer always has his principles tight, never loose, else they would be losing more games. All right, I'm done. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. Okay?
Sorry, not sorry.
Let's go.
Sorry, not sorry. Hey, this is your segment. You do whatever you need to, Spence. Get it off your chest.
Yeah, clearly, I think I did. I feel much better now.
Yeah,
all right, Jimmer, looking forward to an amazing Jersey retirement weekend, brother. Can't wait to see you in person as history is made at the Marriott Center.
Thank you. So excited. I'll see everybody on Provo here in a couple days. Can't wait. And thanks for listening in.
Let's go. Shout out to our partners at Built, and a reminder to shoot your shot in life. We'll see you next episode.